You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John, this is Matt, and here today with us is Dennis. Dennis is going to be the third member of Let's Talk. We have grown our family by one. Our wolf pack has grown by one. And today we're here to talk about a big 4th of July movie, probably the biggest one of all time, and that is Steven Spielberg's 1975 horror classic, Jaws. And well, I am not the biggest fan of Jaws, so I'm going to let these guys take the lead on this one, and then I'm going to jump in with why that is.
So Jaws, this is an iconic movie. It is probably the best shark movie of all time, and it spawned so many monster movies and shark movies in its wake, but nothing tops the original. Steven Spielberg
No offense, but you are a stupid asshole.
was at the top of his game with this movie, and yeah, I mean, there's nothing bad you can say about this movie, and I disagree with everything he's going to say negative about this, because there's no way you can dislike Jaws. It is the perfect film. I don't know if it's in my blueprints because this is my father's favorite movie of all time, so maybe I was just like raised to really like this movie, but I just never had a bad time watching it. If it's on TV, I'm going to watch it. I watch it at least once a year, and this is a perfect 4th of July movie because Amity needs those summer dollars.
That is true. Dennis, what about you?
I 100% agree with everything Matt said. I think this is probably the best movie ever made, of any movie, in my opinion. Just everything they did from an effects standpoint. Everyone knows the stories of Bruce the Shark and the issues they face and how they kind of improvised that half underwater, half above water camera work and everything. But even that, just the story at its core to me is incredible. I mean, it's so basic. It's just kind of man versus nature. And I think everyone plays their roles brilliantly. The character work is awesome. The shark, I'll give you at the end, the big reveal was kind of...
It's 1975, and I think it looks... it still holds up. Yeah. You know, I mean, today's movies, the shark would be CGI. But they did all real-life practical effects, and I still think it holds up. And honestly, the shark doesn't have that much screen time in this movie, and I think that's what makes this movie amazing, because the amount of tension that they build up, and you don't even see the shark, and then you finally see it, and this thing is fucking huge, and it's just, oh my god, it's just a monster shark. It's just bigger than the boat, like Brody says, we're going to need a bigger boat because the shark is double the size of the boat, and it's just amazing what they did just with the camera work, the practical effects. It's a perfect movie. Everyone acted amazingly, and again,
I prefer the boat at the end.
The orca?
What? No, the actual boat. I prefer it after it's been destroyed.
Why?
It just looks nicer.
That's dumb.
Get out of here. No way. His opinion doesn't count on this one, but I agree again. Everything they did was perfect, and you're right, it's back, 75 when it came out, and the shark, the effects they did, like you said, this has spawned so many monster movies, especially shark movies. I mean, how many are there now? I feel like the Sci-Fi TV channel releases one a week.
Yeah.
And they're all
Crazy.
Ridiculous, and the CGI work on them, most of it is really rough. You could tell that's not a real shark. This one you can believe, because like you said, there's not a ton of time spent focusing on it. There's more that tension of, you see the water and you know
they
it's
use
there.
the barrels.
Yeah.
When you see the barrels
cool.
coming towards the boat, or the flashing beacon on the barrels at nighttime, and that's just a barrel, and you're like, oh my god, something's about to happen. The shark is close.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I admired most, even though I'm not a fan of the movie, is the actual filmmaking. It's very well made. Steven Spielberg did an incredible job. It's a great story work, great building of tension. It's shot beautifully. I can't deny that, especially with the 4K. Everyone did their job well. Richard Dreyfuss is great. Got
Roy Schneider
and Robert Shaw.
And Robert
Shaw.
Yeah,
That's Quint.
Quint, yep.
And yeah, he's the best. Obviously, I do really enjoy his speech underneath about the SS Indianapolis. That's just
that's like my favorite scene in the movie.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Then they get into showing the scars, and then they're singing, and then the shark starts blowing through the boat, and that's where the movie really starts picking up steam.
You know that he actually really drank during that?
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only way he can get it. And actually, it's a cut between 2 takes, one where he's sober and one where he was drinking, just because he was trying to get the actual, like, realism.
Yeah.
But apparently he got a little too sloppy at the end, and they had to shoot it again when he was sober. And then it's just a cut together of the two.
I can see that, yeah.
I think there was a lot of drinking on set of that because they were shot it in Martha's Vineyard, right?
Yep.
So it was a big party atmosphere.
East Coast, yep.
Yeah. Amity Island, we live in a place where Amityville is near us, so it's kind of, really similar.
We don't live far from where this was filmed. I mean, like you said, the movie was based out of a story out of Montauk, which is very close to where we live on Long Island. Mm-hmm. But Martha's Vineyard is a few hours away from us. It's really not too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, what did you say happened because of this movie? It spawned a lot of issues with sharks, right?
It did, yeah. So it was a combination of 2 real-life stories. There was a series of shark attacks in New Jersey, actually, that a bunch of people were actually killed by sharks. And then the fisherman that inspired Peter Benchley's novel actually caught a great white off the coast of Montauk. So that's kind of, they combined the 2 for the movie. But after the movie came out, there was a really big issue with hunting of sharks. People became so scared of them, they assumed every single shark in the water was just a man-eater. So they went out, and the population actually diminished so greatly that it's one of, I can't remember if it's Peter Benchley or Steven Spielberg, but one of them said that that's their biggest regret from the film, is the effect it had negatively on actual sharks.
Right.
So they started a fund to help bring the population back and kind of do a lot of shark conservation work and stuff, because this movie genuinely, you might watch it now and not be super scared of it, but when it first came out, there weren't 800 other shark movies, so this blew people's minds.
Oh, I've heard people on podcasts say that they haven't gone in the water since they've seen this movie.
And for good reason, because that is terrifying. That is... Because you're in their world now, and you can't even really blame the shark at that point.
I think that's honestly what takes me out of the movie, is that I don't have a fear of sharks or the water, mainly because I don't go in the water, so there's nothing for me to fear, because he's not coming on land. He's not a shark human.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, they live on an island. They rely on all the tourists and vacationers for the summer to come to their town, to go swimming, to hang out on the beaches, and put their money into all their local shops. And if they have a shark in their water, they're not going to have people coming. They're going to, like he said, they're going to go swim on Long Island or Cape Cod. They're not going to come to Amity. So they needed to get rid of the problem in order.
I don't know who the actor is who plays the mayor, but he did a great job.
Yeah, all of them. I think this was well acted all around.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that's a big reason why this movie holds up so much. Aside from the acting, how great it was, the story, like you said, is so basic, but it makes sense. It's like John said, he's not afraid of it because just don't go in the water. But these people, as the mayor says, we need those summer dollars. Mm-hmm. Like, if they don't have beaches open, they're going to be on welfare all winter. Some of their businesses might fold. And so...
it's their livelihood.
Yeah, exactly. So this shark, this... embodiment of evil in nature, basically, is playing with their livelihoods and their futures. So, you get that too. You would do anything you could to keep your business open, and that's exactly what they have to do. It just so happens that the thing that's hurting their business is a gigantic great white shark.
Mm-hmm. Who clearly has some sort of vendetta.
he's pretty angry about something.
Yeah. So there's some classic scenes in this film as well. I personally had a huge jump scare when they find Ben Gardner's head underneath the water when they're first down there when Richard Dreyfuss finds it. That actually really did jump out to me. Then I was like, okay, this is really a horror movie. Even though I'm not personally scared of it, like I've said, but it still gave me a jolt.
Now, the only thing that always confused me about that scene is I don't think the shark actually killed him, because he was only missing an eye. And I would assume most of his body, if not all of it, would be gone. So that's the only thing that confused me about that one scene.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe the boat sank and he just was so afraid he drowned with it, because it definitely wasn't.
Yeah, he was in the boat.
He was there still, like you said, only the one eye.
And
his
the boat
face
was technically still afloat. So that's the only thing that doesn't really track. But I mean, we'll let it go because it's just such an amazing movie otherwise.
And what scene did you say you liked the most?
Right when they're at the beach, and I think it's Chief Brody's son, Michael, is going with his friends with the sailboat, and he asks him to put it in the pond, as they call it, which is the bay side.
Yeah.
And when they're in there, they're messing with the sail and everything, and that guy rows over in his red rowboat, asks them if they need help, and then that's when the shark is actually in the bay. Knocks the boat over, both of them, the rowboat and the sailboat. But the best part of it to me was, as the guy is trying to crawl back onto his rowboat, we see the side profile of the shark under the water. This shot is so, a lot of people will make fun of the shark, like we mentioned before, at the end when it jumps up and it's flopping around. But this, because it's still under the water a little bit, just the size of the mouth and the teeth from this aerial view, it looks so believable. You actually think, like, this guy's getting killed by a shark.
Oh, yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the scene towards the end where Richard Dreyfuss, Hooper, is in the cage with the spear, they used, I think, real footage from divers in Australia or something like that, and that was a real shark in those scenes where it was swimming under the water.
Yeah, and I think when it was trapped on top too, they showed the cage swimming around.
That also was real.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of these guys. I actually did not know pretty much any of that, so that's actually pretty awesome. But one thing I did know is that John Williams did the score for this, and this is actually him and Steven Spielberg's first collaboration. They would obviously get together for many more movies: Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. This is Steven Spielberg's and John Williams, but this score is iconic. Everyone knew this score. I knew the score before I even knew about movies. I used to go play it on the piano, in school.
And that's another thing. Back to the shark not having a lot of screen time. They just used the score to build tension. You see the barrels coming. You hear the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, and then the faster it goes, something's about to happen. And then once the shark disappears, it's just quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did it a couple times too with the underwater shots. You see the people swimming from under, and it's really slow. And as the camera gets closer to the person's feet, the score starts to build, and then boom, person's dragged underwater. I like the opposite of that too. Is the kind of the upbeat part of the score. Like once they say we got him, and they start chasing the shark. It's really like just the notes are a little higher. It's a little bit more friendly. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna save the day, and then all of a sudden you just hear the. And you're like,
what's gonna happen? Yeah, because the deaths at the end are brutal. I mean, even throughout the whole movie, when the kid dies on the float, the blood that shoots up out of that water, God, And I feel bad for her mom. As ugly as she is, I feel bad for her. Robert Shaw's death at the end is, it's heartbreaking, actually.
Stabbing the shark with the machete and all that.
Yeah.
The scream he lets out when he's battling, he's kicking, he's stabbing everything, and then you just hear the crunch.
Yeah.
And then that scream. Yeah.
I didn't expect them to go. The first time I watched it, every time I watch it, actually, it's just like you don't expect them to go out like that because he could have probably grabbed on.
Yeah.
But
this guy survived all those days in the water at the SS Indianapolis. Then this fuck kills him.
He's such a seasoned fisherman, and he's got his sea legs, and as he would say to Hooper, he's been counting money his whole life, but he's not. He's got the working man hands.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, he did kind of die the way I guess he wanted to. I mean, obviously no one wants to die at the hands of, getting bitten in half by a shark.
Actually, my dad does.
Really?
That's the way he wants to go.
It's an odd choice.
I mean, I always say better that than, how'd he die? Old age. Like, how did he die? He fought a shark and lost. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a better story than just, crippling away at the end of the day. I don't want to die that way. I most likely won't.
Yeah, that's honestly, I mean, probably because of this movie, that's one of my biggest fears is a shark attack.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't go in the ocean, so I have no worry about that unless, evolution's a real thing and they start walking.
I mean, I love the beach, and I got friends with boats. I go out on the boats and go tubing and stuff like that, and it's scary. Like, when specifically water tubing, you fall off that tube, you're waiting for that boat to turn around and come and pick you back up, you're a little nervous sitting, treading water. So,
the good thing for you is you're not tall, so you don't have to really worry about it.
I guess, but I don't really think that has anything to do with it, but okay.
Just always swim with a taller man. His feet will be a little low.
Yeah, I'll grab those first. So, alright, let's dive into the 4K, because actually all three of us have this.
Oh, you have the 4K also?
Sure do, yeah. First 4K I ever bought.
So, we're specifically talking about the 4K, and I don't think any of us have the Steelbook version, right? I actually preferred this. There is a Steelbook version, which John will put on the screen now.
Mm-hmm.
But there is, I think, more to this, because I don't think the Steelbook version came with the little booklet. So, you have your lenticular lens cover right there.
Now, is that the one you have too?
A nice cardboard cover. And then you have your little insert. And there is quite a bit of information on Jaws, all the different movie posters, the different countries. It looks like the script here, screenplay. There's just so much. There's sketches, and it's just for the fan. Look, yeah, Bruce the Shark. We were talking about that before. That's the name of the practical effects, the mechanical shark they used, and it's just packed full of information. Perfect for any collector. Then we'll slide out the actual movie itself. Basic 4K box, nothing special here. Open it up. We have the Blu-ray disc and the 4K disc. Now, I believe this is, a new 4K scan that they did for, obviously?
Actually, this is the Blu-ray scan, I believe, for its, so it's not from 2015, I believe, for its, I'm not too sure what's the anniversary that would be. I guess that would be its 40th. They actually took that scan and they just reworked it for the 4K.
So it's not a brand new scan?
No, it's not a brand new scan, but this is the first one to obviously have HDR on it and everything like that.
Because the scan itself, the visuals on this disc, I think are fantastic. I think this is the best the movie has ever looked by far, and I don't think it'll ever look better than this. It looks fantastic, and it has a Dolby Atmos score, so, I mean, come on, this is the premium package right here. This is the cream of the crop. This is the best this movie will ever sound, period.
I'm going to agree with that. I have only seen it on VHS and DVD, and it definitely looked way better than that. I didn't see any other Blu-rays. What about you? This is your first jump to 4K, and you had to have Jaws. What did you think of how it looked?
I agree with everything you guys are saying. It looked absolutely incredible. I remember, like you said, seeing it on VHS, seeing it on Blu-ray, or regular DVD, and the colors just pop. The water looks wet. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you just feel, especially like that end scene, like we said, when Quint, he's kind of half in water, half out. His clothes look incredible. Just everything just pops on this.
It's funny you guys actually said that, is because in the middle of the movie, when the first time when Richard Dreyfuss is coming out of the water, and I guess the lights from the boat are shining in the water, it really looked like they were on a soundstage filled with water.
When he's got no spit?
Yeah. And I'm like, that water is way too clear to be off of.
No, it looks really great. And back to the water, the scene right before before they start comparing scars and stuff like that, as the sun's going down and then the barrels are going towards the boat, it's just, you see the shooting star, then you see the green glow, I guess, from the beacon that were on the barrels, and the HDR just does fantastic things to this movie, and it looks incredible, and it sounds even better. Now, as I said in an older video, I have 1,000 movies on my shelf. I never ever watched special features or any of that, but this is an exception. There's actually a 2-hour long documentary with Steven Spielberg and some other people from the movie. I think it's an older documentary. It's not new, but they put it on the 4K disc, and there's a ton of other extras on there as well. So I'm going to read right off the back of the box. The bonus features: the making of Jaws, which I believe is that documentary I was talking about. The shark still isn't working. The impact and legacy of Jaws. So that was, I guess, some of the mechanical difficulties they had with Bruce the Shark. Jaws, the restoration.
That's about restoring the film itself.
That's what I assumed. There's deleted scenes and outtakes from the set, storyboards, production photos, marketing of Jaws, Jaws the Phenomenon, and the original theatrical trailer. And those are all the bonus features, and that's all on the 4K disc, I believe. So in closing, those are all the special features. It's a 10 out of 10 for the disc quality, in my opinion. I think it looks and sounds amazing, and it's a perfect movie. So I would say this collector's package, this 4K package right here with the lenticular cover, the art book, all the special features, the 4K plus the Blu-ray, this is a 10 out of 10 release for me. And I don't know about these guys, but what do you think, John?
I mean, listen, I'm biased. I'm not a big fan of Jaws, like I've said, the film. I go back to it and I try every year, just because one day I'm hoping that I'm going to fall in love with it. But the 4K itself is incredible. Matt's not lying. Everything is great on it. It's never looked better. I don't think it's ever going to look better. It's a great scan. The extras are amazing. The box design is awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to give it I'm going to personally give it an 8 out of 10, but that's only just strictly on the fact that I'm not a big fan of Jaws, but some people feel the same way as me. Maybe you fall in the 8 out of 10 range. But Dennis, what do you think?
I completely disagree with you. I don't know how you can think 8 out of 10. I agree with Matt. 10 out of 10 across the board for literally everything. The film, the acting, the score, this 4K pack, everything about this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Sounds biased, but again, I just think this is already an unbelievable film, and this package that you said they have is just incredible.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of Let's Talk. Thanks for joining us as we talked about Jaws today. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed our discussion on Jaws. So before you get out of here, it's Friday, and that means it's time to ask the questions for our digital code giveaway. And just like every week, we have 30 codes available. The Edgar Wright trilogy that was in the bottom right-hand corner has been removed, and we're going to swap that out with a new digital code, and that is going to be Edge of Tomorrow. So that's going to go there. That is going to replace the Edgar Wright trilogy. So this week's questions, the first one in honor of Jaws, we're going to ask, what is your favorite movie monster? That could be anything like Jaws or Godzilla or Jared Leto, you know, anything like that. And then our second question is going to be, because it's summer, what is your favorite film to take place in the summer? Now, you don't have to answer both those questions. You just have to answer one, and you just got to answer that in the comment section below, and you're automatically entered into our digital code giveaway. So make sure you guys come back to Monday's video, where we will be spinning our wheel, and we're going to be giving away another 2 digital codes because we have so many of them. So 2 winners again this week. So you get your choice of those 30 codes. So make sure you guys come back to Monday's video to find out if you are the lucky winner. And as always, guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It means the world to us. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and you tell all your friends.